Hey everybody, I want to talk about something no one else really has. One of the things that I would say I could specialize in is interpreting the hidden symbols in pop culture, anything put out by somebody who's an initiate. By initiate, I mean somebody who is initiated in a secret knowledge, which basically symbolism. As Paracelsus said, God's true handwriting is not in the Bible, but it is nature itself. And if one can read that, then he doesn't need any book. And so he was able to cure everything, even cancer. He came up with the idea of signatures, that things in nature, such as the moon following the sun across the sky, masculine and feminine, she chases the sun, and then at the new moon, when both are united or conjunct, they go beneath the horizon for the night and is seen as a good thing, a pleasurable omen where they have their night together, and then the cycle starts over again. When you have everything from a mosquito. A mosquito is weak, therefore it requires blood, which has iron in it. And so because they're weak, they can't come out on windy days, because they liken them to a vampire. They only come out at night because the sun will destroy their DNA. They don't have the melanin in their skin or whatever they have to keep them from becoming sick. And so they can only come out at night. They can't come out in the wind. They're spindly and thin because they're weak, and therefore they require strength, which comes from the blood. Anyway, in this one, I just wanted to, because I haven't found anything out there, anyone else who realized the symbols, that was put out in a series on FX called American Horror Story Cult. I haven't been watching American Horror Story since the first season. I only watched this one because FX has a small group of initiates who put out a lot of their stuff, like Del Toro or Ryan Murphy or Brad Falchuk. In the previews, what I noticed was the clowns, which of course is always fun, but there was more than that. There was the honey and the honeycombs, the dripping of honey on the clown masks, and then there was obviously political connotations. And I wanted to see, when Trump got elected, which the strain predicted, and I'll talk about that in another video, when he got elected, I wanted to see if it was a plan and if there was a fissure in the powers that be. People call them the Illuminati. I don't know if the Illuminati still exists, but the coalition of groups from the Bilderberg Trilateral Commission, the CFR, there is a cabal of people in the know. And I don't believe they're trying to destroy the world. I think that's all nonsense. Those are conspiracies that they're just that. There's no foundation for that. All I see is people who are initiates. When you're talking about Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates or any of them, they put so much money into making the world a better place, eradicating polio, just all the vaccinations going around in the world, the AIDS, trying to eradicate AIDS in Africa. That's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Mark Zuckerberg talking about donating all he has left, and they're trying to get all the billionaires to sign on to it. There is an organized group at the top, and they understand the need for what people call them communists, in a sense. A lot of people call them socialists because they believe in redistribution of wealth and things like that, because they have it and they know the power that they wield with it, and they all agree to get together and do it for good. And if they keep people out from becoming billionaires or screw people over, as they say Mark Zuckerberg did over the Winklevoss twins, or Bill Gates did over Steve Jobs. He got that government contract, even though Steve Jobs should have got it. Steve Jobs was an irascible man. He wasn't somebody he wouldn't make it to the highest degrees of any society because he treated people horribly. That's what they said. And if you're not a good person, you don't deserve to lead. And so the idea comes from the philosophical elect. I think Plato said that the men who should really rule the world should all be the wisest. You should be able to come from the rabble. There should be no blood monarchies, because talent doesn't pass in the blood. It skips several generations. And so the idea was to allow the people from the bottom who had those abilities, who have the brains and good character, to be the ones who rule, and to help those people out and show favoritism towards them. Anyway, so in this cult, I remember they said they would be the first sneak peek of It, which is a movie about a clown. And so I thought maybe, okay, just cross advertising. We got clowns, and then maybe Fox made it or financed it. I don't know that. but they cross-advertised. And when they showed the premiere of it was nothing. It was an inverted triangle of red balloons, which why does that make sense if it's not meant to be a symbol? And as they lift up, you see the clown behind it. The clown, or the jester, for one, sits atop the pyramid of the tarot cards. When you have the tarots laid out, the clown is a 0 card. He's the joker, the dream weaver, the jester, the creator of this world of illusion which we live in. And turning that triangle upside down, which it represents society, as a pyramid, the young at the bottom outnumber the old at the top, the poor at the bottom outnumber the rich at the top. And by inverting that, they're showing a sort of revolution. And perhaps in another video, I'll explain why there is a fissure in the Illuminati. And so anyone in Hollywood who sides with Trump tends to, be threatened with having their career ended. And whereas a lot of very powerful people also back Trump. There is a fissure at the highest level. Now, in American Horror Story this season, the kid's name is Kai. He starts a revolution in Oakland County, Michigan, outside of Detroit. There's a lot of stuff being spoken about Detroit to perhaps indicate that they expect the rise of a new leader to come from there. Detroit does sit, and if you have Michigan, it's like a mitt. It sits at the cusp of the wrist, which is where the mark of the beast goes. Perhaps that has something to do with it. His name is Kai. The names Sam, Cam, Gamera, Camera, Chimera, Chiron are all names in the prophecy of who this person will be. There's only a few details that were known by the seers, the modern day magi. What Nostradamus said is Chiron would be the name of, a lot of people think it was Mabus. Mabus dies before the rise of the Antichrist, the third Antichrist in his prophecies. Mabus, I think, is M. Abbas, or Mahmoud Abbas. I think almost without a doubt. He dies, his assassination or his natural death causes something to happen over there. That's already a tinderbox with what's going on in Syria. Chiron is the name of this figure who is not a part of the United States government, but will be more powerful than the United States government. And some indicate he will lead from Europe, perhaps, but I think that he was born in Europe and perhaps comes in the United States, or he lives in Europe. But anyway, in this show, American Horror Story, I wanted to get to the point. Kai is short for Chiron. He leads this revolution. He goes to prison. This is sort of that type of person who leads revolutions that they end up in prison anyway. And the bees, when the Lion of Judah was dead in the Bible, there was honey that came forth from it, and there were bees. Judah is the tribe of Israel, the 12 tribes of the zodiac. They correspond to the lion, or Leo. The tribe of Dan it's either Sagittarius or Capricorn, but the tribe of Dan that comes from the death of the lion, Jesus was said to be from the lineage of Judah. The tribe of Dan is where the Antichrist is said to come from in the Bible. The tribe of Dan also represents the secret order. The gold represents the golden age that will be established by this will of the tribe of Dan. It represents the Illuminati in every way, is what the honey and that represents. The bees have always symbolized, Napoleon used them as his symbol. He was an initiate. You'll notice when he puts his hand on his waist, even Hitler did, he had it, noticeably in an M. From Francis Bacon, pretty much everyone in power has always been initiated in Freemasonry, because when you get to that level, they're going to co-opt you. The intelligence agencies will co-opt you, and you will work with them if you desire power. That's in every society. It doesn't mean corruption. It's just the way the world works. Everything is who you know, not what you know. Napoleon used the bees. The Prior of Sion, the Freemasonry in France is very important. And when I talk about the strain that comes into prominence, after the Berlin Wall fell, the French lodges kicked out the CIA, the Americans, and said, go to your own lodge and you guys take orders from the British, because they are the ones at the top of Freemasonry. So the French have always had their own sort of brand of Freemasonry, and that's when Napoleon went into Egypt, and that was when the Rosetta Stone, the Rosetta Stone was found, and they decoded a lot of the Egyptian text. That was all under Napoleon. He was an initiate, and Freemasonry undoubtedly has its origins in Egyptian symbolism. The bees are a symbol of industry. That's what they say to the unregenerate. But really, the bees are a symbol of the secret order, of the tribe of Dan, all the way back to biblical times. Bees, they go about their work. You never know what hive they're from. The hive is hidden. What goes on inside the hive is hidden. They're a matriarchy, which is why down with the patriarchy was a common refrain in this American Horror Story. Bees pay homage to a queen, and they communicate in signs and symbols and dances. And so you see what that represents. And cult, I thought it was pretty cool, the speeches that they had Kai make about all politics being a personality cult nowadays. Trump cannot do wrong in the eyes of 1/3 of Americans, no matter what he does. And it was the same with Hitler, Napoleon, or any strongman, Putin. A lot of strongmen have good support. So you have this movement in that direction. And this American Horror Story is pretty much what it is. The last thing to mention is that as the Joker, the Jester, the 0 card sits atop the 52 when you have him laid out in a pyramid, the United States was always said that it would have 52 states eventually, modeled after the tarot, because these are eternal verities and principles that repeat throughout nature, no matter what planet or part of the galaxy or cosmos you're from. The 0 card is Washington, D.C., which has jurisdiction over all the others. It is thus the original power. And then we added 2 states in the last 60 or 70 years, Alaska and Hawaii. And we're going to add the 2 Commonwealths, most likely. You'll see talk about Puerto Rico being added on, and Guam. All right, that's about it. Like this if you want to hear any more. I pretty much know everything there is to know about everything that you might want to know. All right, have a good day.